And what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Wrong Side Simulations, bringing the best content from the wrong side of the airplane, the right seat. And as always, my name is Blake, and I am a real-world flight dispatcher, aiming to bring you a little bit more context to your flight sim viewing experience. And today we are going to flight plan what will likely be a pretty possibly payload restricted flight. We'll kind of see, but we're going to fly Key West to Atlanta. And we're going to plan that one together. As you know, Key West has a very short runway, so it makes for a kind of a pain in the butt time as a dispatcher when planning this flight. So I figured since this whole past week in ground school we were covering performance, figured this would be a great flight for all of us to kind of plan together and get a little bit of perspective on the flight dispatcher, and kind of see the things that dispatchers are doing, a few hours before departure time. So that'll be the plan for today, and super stoked to be here with you guys on this beautiful Saturday. At least it's beautiful here in Florida. I know across much of the central U.S. there's a lot of nasty weather moving through, so if that's affecting you, I hope you stay safe. I know it's supposed to be a pretty big outbreak today, but nonetheless, super happy to be here with you guys. I think it's been about 3 weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks since the last stream, since I've been gone in ground school, and still continuing that journey. So let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Pretty rusty on all this stuff. Let's see, my man Plain Nuts is in the house. Great to see you, dude. Welcome, Plain Nuts. Josh Sioux Falls is in the house as well. Callie Simmer, my dear, great to see you. Welcome to Nortamibia. Happy Saturday to you. Virtual Flight Diaries, great to see you, my friend. Welcome aboard. Vaughn, what's going on, dude? Great to see you. And Image Seeker, good afternoon. Playnut said, so wishing I was in Key West right now. Tired of the cold and rain. Man, to be honest, I'm not ready for summertime. And when I hit the floor for on-the-job training, that's when spring supercell thunderstorms are going to really be flaring up, and it's going to make OJT pretty hard. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of good learning during that. All right, guys. Well, we're going to kill the music, and we're going to jump to some flight planning. Hopefully, this stuff doesn't bore y'all too much. We'll try to do it pretty quick. I would imagine it might take about the next 10 to 15 minutes as we kind of run through things. Man, I can't talk today. Run through things a little bit slower so that you guys can kind of follow along. Other than that, smash the like button if you haven't done so already, because it definitely helps the algorithm, especially since we haven't been live on here for a little while. Get rid of my face so you guys can see everything and get our flight planning stuff pulled up. And we'll switch things over. Bam. There we go. All right, so we are going to be using a multitude of resources for a lot of this, some of which are available to everybody and some things not as much. The flight planning software that I've been using is quite a bit different than SimBrief, but ultimately it will draw down to the same thing, and that's generating an OFP. I just don't know if it's going to present the information the same way that it would with what I've been using, but either way, we'll kind of get it all figured out. So, we're going to be dispatching flight 1472 in Key West to Atlanta, and I'm going to refresh this little departure time to give us something. Let's see, it's 2020 now. In the real world, we'd be planning this about an hour and a half before departure time. Obviously, that'll kind of make things a little wonky in Phoenix, so we'll push it out to a little bit further, but not more than an hour. So let's call it 2045 Zulu departure time. So, several things that we need to do when we first kind of start digging into a flight. There's a few things that I need to know right off the bat. Are there any ATC programs? Wes, how's it going, my friend? Great to see you, dude. Welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's doing well. Man, it's so good to see familiar names in the chat. But I need to know, is there any ATC programs, any reroutes? Kind of have that that general awareness of like, is the flight going to be delayed for any kind of ATC program? So that's always kind of a quick scan. So we'll take a look at the ATC OIS page. We've got flow programs for Aspen, Newark, Hayden, Teterboro, and Telluride. Obviously, none of that is Atlanta. Ground stops, we've got ground stops for Austin, Nashville, and Dallas, and that is due to weather and thunderstorms, a big squall line pushing through. We'll see that here in just a second. Other good situational awareness type things to look at. It's going to be delay info. So these are all departure delays. DD means departure delay. AD means arrival delays. So out of Dallas Love, we've got 30-minute departure times. The plus sign means that they're increasing. DFW's got 45-minute departure times. Those are also increasing. So 30-minute taxis, 45-minute taxis. Houston, kind of weird. We got one for volume, 75 minutes and decreasing, but then we also have some sort of traffic management initiative. That's a 45-minute departure delay. I don't really know why we would have two of these, but okay. And then Fort Myers, just because of traffic volume, they've got 15-minute departure delays and increasing. Not a big deal. Denver's de-icing, but obviously it has nothing to do with us. So, cool. No programs as of yet. When the weather does get close to Atlanta and starts cutting off the arrival gates, Atlanta, I'm sure, will go into ground stops and then followed by flow. Let's see. Current reroutes. We need to look and see if there's any ATC published reroutes. No point in kind of fully planning a flight with like the ATC preferred route when there's a published reroute for any constraints. So looking through here, we've got several reroutes, and we'll just kind of go through them. kind of the first way to really tell whether or not it's going to affect the flight you're dispatching is looking at the constrained area. So we got Houston Center, DC Center, Albuquerque Center, Houston Center, Houston Albuquerque, Houston, DFW, Memphis, and Kansas City Center, New York DC Center, New York DC, or not DC, but Denver, and Denver. So nothing that's affecting Miami, Jack Center, or Miami Center, which is what we're going to be flying through today. All right, so that's kind of the first thing. Next, I would want to look at my aircraft and see if I've got any MEL items, anything that's going to affect the capabilities of the aircraft, whether it's like non-RVSM or maybe it can only shoot a Cat 1, like whatever the case may be, right? So we're looking at MEL, CDLs, and for all intents and purposes of this demonstration, we have a clean bird today. So that's always a good thing. We love having that. See, Josh said I'll be going to Galveston April 18th, going on another cruise with my dad. Hell yeah. And he'll be getting his diamond status on this one and wanted me to go with him. Hope the weather is beautiful for that. And I hope it is too. But that's awesome, man. Diamond status. That's nifty. That's that frequent flyer stuff. All right, so clean bird. All right, so next thing to kind of go through, there's some general charts that we need to look at, a lot of which won't be available because it's going to be company-specific charts. But we'd go through company charts and just kind of make sure that there's nothing special that we would need to do. I have those, but I'm not going to display that because that's all proprietary stuff, and I'm sure Delta would not appreciate any of that being displayed, so not going to display it. Well, we'll say that we've read the company charts, and I know coming into Key West, there's a lot more restrictions than there is coming out, so that'll make our lives a little bit easier dispatching this flight. We'd obviously check the company charts for Atlanta as well in case there's any special considerations from a planning perspective for Atlanta, and we'll say that there is none. So cool. So we've checked. We'll say we've checked our company charts, and now we'll jump on over to WSI Pilot Brief Optimal. Now this is not something that the average person would have access to, but it's just kind of a general. I won't even say flight planning, but you can kind of plan flights with it. So we've got our preferred ATC route, which I got from SimBrief and pasted that in, and we've got some things overlaid. We've got some nav aids. We've got so what is this? Low-level wind shears. We got PyReps displaying. We've obviously got weather, fronts, airports. We got flight planning guidance areas. We got kind of the general stuff that a dispatcher would have on their graphical tool. Obviously, we'd have positions of aircraft and stuff like that, but this isn't like the real thing, so we're not going to see any of that. But here's that line of weather that we were talking about. Very severe stuff. Looks like it's moving into my parents' area right now, so probably need to check on them soon. But this shouldn't be much of a factor for us. We should be able to get into Atlanta well before this line hits, but it does look like we have some air mass rain showers that could potentially turn into thunderstorms. Looks like this is probably a thunderstorm. We got some lightning returns there. These are all in the vicinity of the Atlanta airport, so that will likely play a factor. But that's always kind of the first thing you want to do as a dispatcher. Just take a look at the route and just a quick little overview of the route will tell you, obviously, in the back of our mind, like, all right, we're definitely going to need some extra fuel for this, more than likely. We can loop the weather, see what direction it's moving. Is it sea breeze? Is it air mass? Like, what type of thunderstorms is it? And that the character of that type of thunderstorm can tell you what to expect during your flight. So can we even loop this? I think we can. Yeah. So we'll hit play. And just kind of see what direction the weather's moving, how it's developing. It might take it a few loops to fully load. So looks like most of this stuff's kind of moving west-northwest, which is good for our route. We'll go ahead and stop that. Okay, so let's jump into planning the flight. So coming out of Key West, do we have a digital ATIS? We do not. So to determine which runway we should take off of, we'll look at the TAF and our ETD and figure out the best runway for that one. This text is extremely small, so you won't probably be able to see it, but it's a one-line TAF, so that'll cover the entirety of the forecast period, which obviously will be during our departure. So winds will be 100 at 11, gust 22, greater than 6 statute miles, few at 2,000, scattered at 35. So we'll be departing off of runway 9 based off of that. We got a little airport diagram here. So if winds are at 100, and then you got a roughly 090 heading off runway 9, that's about a 10-degree quartering headwind. So mostly a headwind, right? So we'll know that we'll be off runway 9. Now on our on the route, let's see, we're on the Buffett one, so let's check the route, make sure everything's compliant. So RNAV 1, DME, IRU, or GPS. Radar is required, and this SID is for jet aircraft only. We are all of that. It does apply to runway 9, so we know we can use it for this departure. So that's good. Weather's good. No real concerns. Now the only other thing that I would consider for coming out of Key West is that if we lost an engine, would we come back to Key West? Probably not. Especially when we're at our heaviest and such a short runway. Probably don't want to come back to Key West, right? So we're going to plan a departure alternate of likely Miami, but we need to look at it first. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts for Miami. I'm going to pin some things. Coming back to our WSI, let's check out Miami. So if we're departing at 20:45, we would probably get to Miami around like 30 minutes later, maybe a little bit less than that. So that'd put us at 21:15. So winds or weather in Miami at that time: 110 at 14, gust 22, greater than 6 statute miles, scattered 2,500, broken at 4,000. And then we have to look at hour before, hour after, because we need alternate minimums for any kind of alternate. So then the next line after that, starting at 2,200, winds 113, greater than 6 statute miles, scattered at 3,000, scattered 5,000. So the weather looks good for using this as an alternate. Now let's see what they're landing. So information echo. Approaches being conducted to parallel, converging, and intersecting runways. Arrivals expect ILS runway 8 right, 9, and 12. So let's pull up those charts and see what our alternate mins are, just in the event that maybe an isolated rain shower moved over and reduced the visibility in ceilings for a short period. We would still need to know what our alternate minimums are. So we're going to use the 1 nav aid, 2 nav aid rule and derive alternate minimums. So coming from the south, more than likely, if they were one engine in op, and they probably want to get on the ground as fast as they can, they're going to come in on either 1, 2, or 9. So here we've got 368 on the ceiling, so we'd round that up to 400, 3/4 mile. Alright, now let's look at runway 9, see what that one's got. 200.5, that's the lowest you can get, so that's good, it's what we want. And looking at 8 right, we'd round that up to 500, and that one sucks. So we're going to derive these mins. So what was the winds again? I think the winds were a little gusty. Gust 22. Alright, so just to kind of make this as fast as possible, use runway 9 and runway 12. So 12 is the most restrictive. We have to add our 1 nav aid, or correction, our 2 nav aid additive to the most restrictive of the 2 approaches. So for 2 nav aid, we're going to add 200-foot ceilings and half a mile to the visibility. So with the ceiling being rounded up to 400, that's going to make that 600, and then add the half mile here, and that's going to be 1 mile and 1/4. So our alternate minimums for Miami is 600, 1.25 miles. And based off of the TAF, we've got that, so we have our alternate minimums. The weather is good enough for those alternate minimums, so we can use Miami as an alternate, so long as nothing is NOTAMed out. So that's gonna be the next thing. Let's check our NOTAMs. Alright, checking our NOTAMs here. We've got center line markings. 9 and 27 is closed, and that's going to be for March 9th. It's starting at 0300, so we don't care. Same thing here, 1230, March 9th, starting at 100. Let's see, we're using what? 1, 2, and 9, just to refresh my memory. Alright, so the NOTAMs are good to use those. Nothing is NOTAMed out like the glide slope or the localizer or the approach light system. So the other thing that we need to check is to make sure that these ILSs are authorized. It probably would have been better to check that first. Otherwise we just did a whole bunch of work for nothing. So coming on down to, see, where's it at? Down here at the bottom. So for filing as an alternate now, 602 is the standard for the FAA for a precision approach. 802 is the standard for non-precision approaches. But in the airline world, airlines are typically authorized to derive their alternate minimums, so we can get lower than these standard minimums here. And so I can see that ILS runway 9 and ILS runway 12 are authorized to use for an alternate. So everything checks out. NOTAMs, authorization, everything is good there to use Miami as our alternate. So departure alternate is taken care of. Let's go add that real quick. Takeoff alternate of KMIA. Set that. I believe that should add it. Okay. One last thing to check with Key West. So if they're in the event we had a rain shower move over, something we need to know what our takeoff minimums are. So out of Key West with runway center on line markings or adequate visual reference, it's going to be a quarter mile is the lowest we could go. Now a lot of other airports, for operators authorized lower than standard takeoff minimums, you can get down to RVR 300, 300, 300 if you have a HUD, so it's going to be like a 7.3, and then any other aircraft would be 500, 500, 500. Although only 2 RVR reports are required for lower than standard takeoff minimums. Alright, let's see, I'm going to catch up in the chat real quick. And Planet said has never been on a cruise. Maybe one day. Hey man, I'm right there with you. I've never been on one either. I usually keep my ass planted on the beach. We had an FAA tail number N92 airport approach flying around the other day. It was pretty cool watching them paint Flight Radar 24. Oh, so they must have been doing, what do they call that? I can go look it up in the OAS page, but flight check, I think is what they call it. You do feel them turn. Oh, that's interesting. See, 7.3 Sim Driver, are you going to stream the flight as well? Yep, that is what I'm going to do. We're going to plan it, then we're going to fly it. Sure enough. Okay, so departure's taken care of. We got our departure alternate, so all that's good. Now we'll kind of jump over to Atlanta and see what we need to do there. First thing we need to figure out is what our ETA is, and we're showing an ETA of 2247 Zoo. I think it has it planned at like CI5 though, which we're not going to do. Let's go set that to like 65. Preview that. Alright, so 22:45 puts us on time. Let's go back to WSI and check out Atlanta. More than likely, even without even looking at the tab for the forecast, just with this stuff kind of popping up and building, at least it looks like it's building, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, we're going to need to plan an alternate. So, 2245, looking here at this itty-bitty small text TAF. So this starts at 19. Then we got a tempo from 19 to 23. And then back up here. Okay, so wind's going to be 210, gusting 20. Grading 6 statute miles. Vicinity showers broken at 4,000. Then in the tempo, we got winds variable at 15, gusting 25, 4 statute miles. Light rain and thunderstorms broken at 3,000 with cumulonimbus clouds. So we are definitely going to want an alternate. Based off of the hour before, hour after ceilings and visibility, it's not required. But it's pretty much required at my carrier that if there's thunderstorms of any kind forecasted, put an alternate on. So now this is where things kind of get a little sticky for dispatchers coming out of an airport with a runway as short as Key West. Any added weight obviously makes the takeoff roll longer, more or less, and could cause payload restrictions. And we're in the business of getting passengers from A to B. Ideally, every single one of them that paid for a ticket for that flight. So we'll have to do everything we can to make it work. So let's see. Let's use another website. This is also not really available to the common person. You do have to be employed by an airline to get access to this. So we got Atlanta right here. We got this one little isolated cell that's currently sitting near Atlanta. Tops at 41,000 feet, moving northeast at 15 knots. And so this is kind of a future radar type deal. And so now if we're getting there at 2245, we got our timestamp down here in the bottom left corner. And I'm going to actually change the loop settings. We're going to go to 15-minute intervals. And so that's, according to COSPA, 2245, that's what we could expect. Now, obviously, this is future radar, and there are definitely limitations with future radar. It's not always super duper accurate, but it kind of paints a general picture and something that you may be able to expect. And one thing I like to do just for fun, I like to look at the satellite during events like this, and you can tell you got a cold front back here, and the convective activity moves quite a bit faster than the cold front, so it's always building out front and moving in front of the cold front itself. But it's just fun to just watch how all that happens. You can see all, like, how much taller all the tops are. Like, you got an overshooting top here. It's probably busting up against the tropopauls right above the top of the cell. It's pretty cool, and you can see that kind of stuff from satellite. The other cool thing to see is gust fronts, but we'll talk about that at a different time, because that's a whole another weather phenomenon. But anyways, get that preset back on. The other thing I like to look at too is growth and decay trends. So when you see orange like this, that indicates growth. And then when you see blue, that indicates decay. And so obviously we're seeing in the last several scans, there's growth in these cells. So who knows if they'll still be kind of lingering around, or is there going to be more building? It's kind of hard to say. They do look more like an air mass, so like isolated afternoon pop-up type thunderstorms, versus something like this. This is a whole frontal system. So that's roughly what we could expect, which doesn't look bad, right? But it's still calling for convective activity in the TAF, so we're going to have to put an alternate. Now I want to kind of look at this stuff through here, through Florida, and what's the general idea of what this stuff's going to be doing. It's relatively stationary-ish. Not a ton of movement east and west. Now with this website, it's relatively accurate for for the first 2 hours, and after that it uses a whole different algorithm, so you'll see the weather do something completely different. But the first 2 hours is more or less based off of what it's currently doing. And so that's why you'll see like they're kind of stationary, then all of a sudden once you're past 2 hours, like they start moving more and doing more things. But for the most part, looks like air mass, stationary cells, little afternoon type stuff, building off from the thermal temperatures rising off of the warm ground of Florida, and just kind of popping off some isolated cells. Nothing super crazy there, but probably do need to take some extra fuel to deviate around any of that stuff. So extra gas here, some extra gas for Atlanta, as well as an alternate for Atlanta. Another thing I want to look at too is the arrival demand. What's the arrival rate going to be like at 22:45? And I like to look at about 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after as well. So here is 22:45. We got 16 aircraft that will be arriving at 22:45. They can take 29.5 airplanes. I don't know how they really get that half number, but so they can take 29.5 airplanes in that 15-minute block of time, and they have 16 arriving. So we're well under max arrival rate. 15 minutes before, it's a little bit higher, but still below, and then 15 minutes after, it's below. So the arrival rate shouldn't be much of an issue. Now, if somehow that line of weather does get to Atlanta much faster than what it's forecast to, or what we're seeing on COSPA, then this will play a bigger factor, because a lot of the aircraft in front of us will go into a hole and we'll get put in a stack, and the arrival rate will be a much bigger issue then. But based off of what's scheduled and what's been filed, no factor on the arrival rate. So that's good. Alright, so now I don't think we're going to probably have to change anything with the route. I do want to look at the star. Let's see, what are they currently landing? First of all, let's look at the METAR. METAR looks fun. Winds are 210 at 11, so they're probably on west flow. 10 statute miles, scattered at 4,600 with CB, scattered 8,000, scattered 20,000, broken 25. Temperatures 28, dew point 16, altimeter 3010. And we got thunderstorms. Our thunderstorms moved northeast, occasional lightning in cloud, distant northeast CBs in vicinity, or CBs are in the vicinity to the east, distant northeast, moving northeast, towering cumulonimbus in all quadrants. There's a lot going on there. So basically what it's saying is there's cumulus and cumulonimbus clouds that are in all quadrants, so that's indicative of not necessarily always weather, but there is lifting action going on in the clouds and in the atmosphere. So now back over to the ATIS. They are on west flow, simultaneous approaches in use to ILS runway 26 right, visual 27 left, and 28. So we're coming from the south, so we'll be landing on the south complex. So it'll be either runway 28 or 27 left. We'll plan on 27 left and back it up with 28. Let's see, inner marker, runway 27 left is out of service, not a big deal. 28's approach lights are changed. Cool. Alright, so now what I want to see, let's go to Atlanta. And alright, so since we're coming from the south, like I was saying, maybe we land at runway 28 or 27 left. On the star, what's our route again? We're on the Jedi 4. So Jedi 4, and coming from Lars, so Lars here comes on down, and that is, looks like this is a direction specific star, and it is to land to the west. So radars require jet aircraft only. Expect to send via clearance from center. Approach will assign landing. Select runway 27 left. for use when landing west. When landing east, file and expect the Sith RNAV arrival. Melon transition ATC assigned only. So this is why it's important to read these notes as a dispatcher, because if you try to, say there's some weather or something, you're trying to move things around, and for whatever reason you wanted to switch the transition onto the star at Melon, can't do that because it is ATC assigned only. So you got to check those notes. So the star is good to use. I like that. 27 left. Got 200.5 on the minimums. Let's check our NOTAMs. And if we want to get real fancy with it, got a little highlight tool, and we can look for 27 left. I'm going to look for 28 as well. I'm also going to search Jedi 4, make sure there's nothing NOTAMed with the star. And looks like everything, no, there's 27 left there, but it didn't find it. So there's that inner marker that they were talking about in the ADIS instrument approach. When you look at this one, so ILS runway 27 left, which is what we're looking at. Procedure is not available except for aircraft equipped with radar altimeter. And that's because the inner marker is out of service. We do have a radar altimeter, so we don't care. All right, cool. Now let's look for 28. All right, 28. They changed the approach lights. Don't care. Nav ILS 10. Let's see what this is. It's for the RNAV. This is also for the RNAV. So ILS for 28 is also good. Now, in the event that we did need to plan GPS approach, we would need to do a rain check to make sure that there will be satellite coverage. So there's always 32 satellites that are in orbit, and you need at least, I believe, 4 for solid coverage to be able to shoot GPS approaches, and as well as flying RNAV, SIDS, and stars. So where's that website at? Here we go. I'm gonna look at terminal and en route, but everything is green. So we know that we would be good for any RNAV approaches. En route's green as well, so that's good. If it wasn't, you would see something like this where you got some red, but this is all without baro aiding. We would be with baro aiding, so not super rewarded, but that's what you would see. You would see like a big red area, and that's for when there will be a lack of GPS coverage from the satellite. So we know we'd be good for any GPS approaches as well. So route's good. Our destination, obviously, like we can legally land there. We've got open runways and approaches and all that kind of stuff, but we do need to look for an alternate. So now this is the tricky part, right? The further away the alternate, the more gas we have to carry, which again all comes back to taking off up a short runway and being payload restricted. This weather, like usually Chattanooga, Knoxville, kind of the go-to, but that could be a little bit closer to the weather because the further north up that line of weather you go, the further east it is. And on our display, we would see like the airports that are in our C70 op spec, which means airports that were approved to use, rather than just like a little bit of everything. Man. Because if we do Charleston, then we're kind of on the wrong side. How far does this line go? Ugh. None of it's good. It's all pretty much crap. So let's just kind of play around with the numbers real quick and see if we're even payload restricted at all. So let's just, for shits and giggles, let's throw on, hey, my man, Cabana. What's up, dude? Another real-life dispatcher in the house. Good friend of mine. Captain Johnny Bravo, great to see you, dude. Let me get caught up here in this in the chat. I've been out of the chat for a minute. So Sim Driver, I did not delete all the videos, but I did put them all on private. Just to kind of like, there's been times in streams in the past I've been cussing a lot and stuff like that, and don't necessarily want Delta to see any of that. So got it all on the all on private for now. Nate, what's up, dude? Great to see you, man. JJ, welcome, dude. Great to see you. Johnny Bravo, my man John, how's it going, dude? Great to see everybody. I miss streaming. Crazy that tornado in Michigan. Yeah, man, killed what, 3 people last I heard. It's terrible. Last night when I went to bed, it was 41 and sprinkles. I woke up this morning, it's ½ inch of snow and 23 outside. Goodness. Right now it's 47 and snow's all gone. Most bipolar weather in the country. Sounds like it. Goodness. All right, let's keep moving through this so we can actually go fly this thing. So, again, like I was saying a while ago, SimBrief is going to display data, especially when it comes to weights, way different than what I would see at work. It's a bit more specific between structural limitations, performance limitations, things of that nature. So we'll kind of work with whatever this gives us, but we'll just kind of start with like bare basic, which will be 15 minutes in required contingency fuel, 10 minutes of discretionary contingency fuel. That's a total of 25 minutes, and then we'll add. Let's add Macon. Actually, I don't want to avoid that. Where's my... Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright, so that's going to be about as close of an alternate, aside from maybe like Dobbins Air Force Base or something, but we're not going to do that one. Let's see what that gives us, if anything. I don't even know, like... Let's see, where's our weights at? Because the OFP shows the weights very, very differently than how we would see it on the planning side of things. We got our burns. Because I don't think there's anywhere that shows max takeoff and max landing weights, like structural weights, on the OFP. Alright, so this is telling us the runway's dry, weather's beautiful here in Key West. But for more restrictive, safer kind of a thing, we would probably plan it wet. If we had to make it dry, we could do that. I have every reasonable expectation that it's going to be dry. Alright, so let's see. Here's our lengths. Alright, so runway dry, planned takeoff weight with calm winds. Off runway 9, we have a max takeoff weight of 146.4. And that's with flex 43, toga bleeds on, flaps 3 takeoff, field length limited. Alright, so 146.4. There's still nothing that's going to tell us. Let's see, ramp weight. Where's my takeoff weight? 138.8. Alright, so we got a little bit of wiggle room. In fact, guys, on my release, I've got Jeff Cabana as my dispatcher. And he's watching. Ain't that cool? I know on here somewhere it's got to say how many passengers. This airplane can carry 132 passengers. Where's that daggum booked passengers at? There's still a lot of stuff on this OFP format that I'm learning and adjusting, getting my eyes set to. This flight would definitely not be on desk 58. Bro, where is it? I wonder if I did my little searchy thing. No. Well, crud. Oh well. Okay. So TLR says 140, 146.4. We're currently at 138.8. And that's with Macon. So we can definitely go a further alternate. So let's try Charleston and analyze that. See what that gives us. That's going to give us a gross weight of 140.5. So we can go up about another 6,000 pounds roughly, which is good. Margins are good. Well, at least that's the takeoff weight. But landing weight should be totally fine. I mean, we're landing in Atlanta. Flaps full packs on with no en route icing. Oh, let's give me on. There we go. 2.7 left. Outside air temp. This is formatted different than what I'm used to looking at. It's 137.8. It's like all structural is 137.8. Okay. 137.8. Landing weight's 131.5. Cool. So we got good margins for both takeoff and landing. So we can add some more fuel. So let's bump it up to about everything we could get, I guess. Let's go. About 45 minutes plus the 10 minutes below. See what that gives us. Takeoff gross weight 143.6. Now the thing is though, if we don't beat that line of weather, like we're not getting in. That's going to be pretty much an auto divert. Unless there's just huge gaps in the weather that we can kind of get through and hold on the backside and wait till it passes. But even still, that's going to be not super likely. So I'm going to leave a bit of a buffer. I mean, 45 plus, that's 55 minutes plus an alternate. I'll tell you what, I am going to bump it up just a little bit more because in this event, in the real world, we would have tons and tons of airplanes going to lots of different alternates, and alternates fill up, and you need to be kind of flexible and dynamic and be able to change your alternate to something that's less saturated. So we are going to take as much as we can get. We'll go 60 minutes plus 10, 145. So that's going to put us, that's about 1,000 pound buffer. So we'll take that. Cool. All right, so now before we finish this up, we need to look at Charleston, make sure that Charleston is good for an alternate. So back to WSI. At our ETA, winds 180 at 11, gust 17, greater than 6 miles, few at 4,000. So we've got good weather there. Sunset approach is in use, runway ILS 15 approach, and runway 21. All right. Charleston. ILS runway 15, 200.5. And they're also on the RNAV 21, which would be 401. So I'll probably just run it off of run 15. So a single nav aid additive is 401 compared to the two nav aid, which is 201. So we got 200-foot ceilings and half mile. So we'll add 400 to this. That's going to make it 600. Add the 1 mile here. That's going to be a mile and a half. So 600 mile and a half is our alternate minimums. Is it authorized? Let's go take a look-see. ILS 1.5 is authorized. Sweet. If we needed to go lower, we could dig deeper and start running some more, but obviously we're taking a while to do this, so we're just going to go off of that. And last thing, check the NOTAMs, make sure that everything is good to go with runway 1.5. Make sure all the NOTAMs generates. Cool. Runway 1, damn it. Inventory hold sign, don't care. Here we go. Nav, ILS runway 1.5 outer marker is unusable. Don't care. ILS runway 1.5 outer marker not monitored. Don't care. Obstacle, obstacle, obstacle. Not shooting that approach. Don't care. ILS 1.5. Temporary cranes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't care. ILS runway 1.5. Radar or DME is required except for aircraft equipped with suitable RNAV systems with GPS because that outer marker is out. Cool. Don't care about that either. Alright. Looks good. Do we have everything that we need for that? That's tag. Cool. Alright. Sweet. So now let's kind of recap. We're good for our departure. We have a takeoff alternate due to the short runway, which is Miami. That's all checked out. We got extra fuel to deviate around these cells. What are the tops on these things? That one's not really showing. Let's go to Coaspa. Echo tops. 2.7. So these are in kind of the low 20s, mid 30s, mid to high 30s, 30s. That one's blowing up to 46,000 feet. And it's on the approach. So that's fun. Let's see what Atlanta's doing right now. See if there's any airplanes holding. They look like they're getting in. Man, I gotta log into my thing. Alright, so it's not the best radar. So North American radar on. But you can see that aircraft are still shooting the approach. Looks like they're kind of working around this weather a bit. Kind of turning it in a little bit more shallow. But more or less, looks like I don't really see any holding. These guys are taking off. Cool. So all that's good to go. Alright. We could look at different routes if we wanted to. But this Jedi is pretty much for this approach. Everything's on the Jedi. But see, we don't really want this one because we just have to overfly the airport. So we don't care to do that. That one's going to put us more in the weather. We would want something maybe riding the coastline, but don't really have anything. So we'll just stick with the that first route. All right, check one more brief. Let's see, it says we'll be at 36,000 feet. Hour 32 minutes en route. Takeoff gross weight's 145.3 based off the TLR on a dry runway. Our max is 146.4, so we're within the max on a flaps 3, and that's going to be packs off takeoff as well. So it looks like a flex. Or what is MT? I would think that's like flex temp. So we're just gonna we'll do toga takeoff, packs off, flaps 3, and then to double check the landing, our max landing weight. It's got different temperatures on here, I guess, to make it like more restrictive. So 27 left. We'll go with the middle, and that's going to be structural limitation of 137.8. And we're planning to land 136, so we're about 1,000-pound buffer there, roughly as well. And it's going to give us a lot of gas. So we got an hour of contingency fuel plus another 10 minutes below the line. We have our alternate of Charleston, trip fuel, reserve fuel. So let's give us a min takeoff fuel of 22.6, block fuel of 24. I would love to see this on a real life flight plan and see if we can actually get off the ground with that kind of fuel. But we might be pretty light on passengers. I just can't remember where, if it even shows it on here, where the booked passengers are at. I don't think it does. Oh yeah, there it is. Passengers, 123 out of 132. Cool. Alright, let's generate that. We would also need to put remarks, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to worry about remarks. But I would put stuff like precautionary takeoff alternate due to short runway, weather, what type of thunderstorms they are, why you got extra gas, why we got the alternate, etc. Just basically kind of tell the captain your thought process through the dispatch remarks. So we have our flight plan. Here's the full thing. Got all that good stuff. Got our detailed flight plan, or the nav log, however you want to call it. TLR, all that good stuff. So now we're going to go put this into action and fly this flight. And we'll close the rest of this stuff. Make sure there's no reroutes one last time. Nope. Alrighty. That only took forever, but obviously we took our time and kind of slowly walked through it to show you all the kind of things that dispatchers are doing. Now I'm going to get my chart set up real quick, and then we'll get on the airplane and get going. Sim brief. Cool, got all that. Let's see, out of Key West. That's good. Atlanta. Let's put our charts for our runways. Seven left, 28. We need Miami. We'll need that chart of do runway 9. That's what we would go to. Has the best minimums as well. And then we need Charleston. That's runway 15. Pin all that stuff. Alright, cool. Charts are all set. Catch up in the chat real fast, then we'll get on the airplane. So Josh, FS Expo 26, no idea. to be honest. When will I be comp checking? I'll start ground school. I think I should comp check like mid May, maybe towards the end of May. So I won't find out like what my actual schedule is and all that stuff until about that time. So I'll be cutting it close, but I'm gonna try to. How often do you check things like the OIS when you're planning? OIS is something that we're constantly looking at. We have other methods that other tools that will alert us that if any of our flights on our specific desks are captured in any kind of ATC program. So we don't necessarily have to consistently stare at the OIS page, but it's a good thing to kind of scan over from time to time. Same with the reroutes. But again, our software will alert us to reroutes and programs. 22 watching 17 likes to smash the like button, but only if you haven't already. Hell yeah. My man Johnny Bravo knows what's up. That was the first thing I did when I joined the stream. That's what I'm talking about. Reaper, what's going on, my friend? Great to see you, dude. Welcome, welcome. Is there a calculation for disabled passengers that might have gate-checked wheelchair or scooter? That's all going to be something that the, I would guess the ALA agent would do, the aircraft loading agent. But that's outside of dispatch. Basically, we plan the weight, and then there's other departments who will, like if there are any payload restrictions, they'll determine like how many passengers or bags get pulled off and like all that kind of stuff. We just basically set the max weight and say, hey, y'all can like use up to this weight to do whatever y'all need. So I'm not exactly sure how they handle that, but there is somebody that would account for that. JJ, what's going on, dude? Is there special codes for fat guys like me? No, every passenger has a standard weight, regardless of their size. If you're so big, you need 2 seats. No special codes, just 2 seats. How big? Yeah, we could I guess calculate that as 2 passengers. We really needed to, but that would be like if you have a passenger that takes up 2 seats, but we only count them as 1 passenger. It's really only short 200 pounds. The only time I guess you would truly really care ever would be if you were like taking off at max takeoff or at max landing weight, but like it's never going to be that specific. Okay, let's get this thing going. We've been streaming for, oh, I hate this, man. You gotta like sidestep to get up this thing, or not. Screw it. We tried to be cool. Maybe like we were walking up on the airplane. But we're just not cool enough. Welcome to our cockpit. Alright, got 17 minutes to get out of here. Crew supply, ground control, CVR test. Alright, nav logo lights are on. No smoking on emergency exit lights. Let's get that AC going. And apologies, guys, for that. That's just something with the kind of third-party little deal that turns us into quote-unquote CRT screens. I'm pretty sure this airplane in real life would have CRT screens, so we're going to use them. Flight directors are on, constraints, we'll get VORs on both sides. No. Current weather here in Key West, winds 100 at 14, gust 22, non-statute miles, scattered 1900, scattered 2600, temperatures 26. Dew points 21, and altimeter 3008. Cool, that's set. That's already pulled. Coming on down the side. Alright, we'll initialize here on the captain side. AOC menu, flight inits, initialize data request. And we'll just use say intentions today, make things move a little bit quicker. From there, Atsu, ATC menu. No. Which one do I need? Is it AOC? ATC request. Pre-departure clearance. There we go. We're at gate 1. ATIS info echo. And KUSA. So we can get our PDC. Shoot that off. I think I have say intention set. Alright, got a load sheet, or prelim load sheet, and PDC status. We'll wait for that to come back. Over on the FO side, data IRS init, 4 more minutes till we're aligned. GPS, and I don't think there's an airport reference point on the OFP for me to look at. So we'll say it's good. AC status, make sure nav database is current, 19 February to 18th March, so we're looking good there. Init, and we'll initialize. There you go. Mobility devices are inputted manually by the loading agents, and info is given to the pilots for weight and what cargo area is loaded in. Yep, see, there you go. How long before door closes? Has your planning been done? Any given flight? I'm sure it changes with weather and such. So we aim to send the release 90 minutes prior, because there's other departments that have to look at that release for weight and balance and loading stuff. So they need that done at a minimum by, I think it's 70 minutes, and then their part's done by 60 minutes, and then the crew can like pull their paperwork and stuff from there. All right, so we are Delta Airlines Flight 1472. Cost index of 65. Cruising flight level is going to be 360. Temperature up there says ISA plus 10, so it's going to be minus 58. Ground temperature 26. Tropopause, I remarked it because the Delta OFP format doesn't have the tropopause. They find it in a different spot than what's on the OFP. I thought I remarked it on here. There we go. Tropopause of 34.2. Alright. The hell? How do I get PDC through without a DCDU? I don't know, so we'll just put a DCDU on this thing. Alright. Alrighty. Cool. Cleared to Atlanta, Buffett 1 departure, maintain 4,000. Just set. Departure frequencies on 124.025. 124.025. And squawk 3561, runway 9. 3561. And we'll expect runway 9. Perfect. Send that off. Oh, man. And let's see. Alrighty, so from here, Key West, departure, runway 9, Buffett 1, and going to be going to Matlock. Insert that. Atlanta, arrival. ILS 27 left is what our star said to plan for. We're on the Jedi 4 departure, or correction, arrival. And that's going to be on the Lars transition. We'll insert Lars. Approach via, we're going to tell it none for now. And we'll insert that. Secondary flight plan for our engine fail procedure. Let's copy the active, back to the secondary, back to the init page. KEYW, nope, did it backwards, to KMIA. Remember, Miami is our departure alternate in the event that we lose an engine. Secondary flight plan, Key West, departure off runway 9 with no SID. Secondary, Miami, arrival, ILS, runway 9, no star, and we'll use leg, that'll work. Over to performance. Next. Current weather in Miami. Let's go to, do it this way. Miami weather, wind 090 at 11. Temperature is 28 and 3011. Minimums for runway 9 is 208. And that's all good to go. RadNav, we'll just leave everything in the auto tune. Over back to init. Let's get our winds. Back over to init B. And where you at? Zero fuel. Alright, taxi fuel is 400 pounds. That's already in there. Route reserve is 0. Alternate burn to Charleston is 4,000. Route reserve, we'll just put in 45 minutes. Our planned zero fuel weight is 121.7. We'll do a standard CG of 30 for now. Check the fuel planning, see what that says. Meanwhile, our block fuel is 24.0. So it says we need a minimum of 15,000 to do this flight. We're going to tell it we're carrying 24. Perf. Let's go ahead and throw in some stuff for Atlanta. Let's see. Atlanta's weather. Winds 210 at 11. Temperature 28. QNH 3010. Minimums on 27 left. 1199. Alright, prog page K. Come on, thing. KMIA. And runway 9. Cool. Are they done boarding? No. Still waiting. So we want to keep that init fuel or the init page pulled up so we can throw some stuff in there when they're done with the whole boarding process. Alright, let's get the APU fired up. You know, still not, man, last time I tried flying this airplane, I didn't get my fuel from GSX. Refilling service requested. Why is it? I ain't got time for this. So, just gonna do this instantly. We're 6 minutes from departure. Going to reset all, load aircraft. And instant. Cool. Alright, got our, that's still prelim, damn it. Give me my actual, there we go. Alright, so, wow. Why is my zero fuel weight so light? Give me a zero fuel weight of 118.4. But we're planned at 121.7. That's weird. Whatever. We'll a bunch of people took an earlier flight or something trying to beat the weather. Zero fuel weight CG is 29.6. Fuel in tanks is 24.0, and our tow CG is 27.2. We'll accept that. Alright, so now we got our fuel on board, so we get the seatbelt signs on. And we'll hit a little departure brief right fast. Alrighty. It's gonna be right seat takeoff aircraft types of 319 for tail strike avoidance with no MELs, no CDLs. And we're gonna push back nose to the west and taxi down to runway 9 for departure. It's going to be a 2-engine taxi with no hot spots and runways to cross. Weather's no factor in the immediate area, and terrain is also no factor. Standard abort procedures: below 80 knots be my decision to reject. Above 80 knots we'll abort for engine or a fire of any kind, engine failure, low level wind shear, or anything that makes us feel like the aircraft's unsafe for takeoff. At V1, if we pop an engine, we're going to go flying. We'll speed up, clean up, sort out the issue, and we'll head on over to Miami since the runway is a little too short with as heavy as we'll be and on a single engine. All goes as planned. We're going to fly the Buffett 1 up to 4,000 feet. Departure frequency is set above us at 124.025, and we're squawking 3561. Any questions? No questions, Captain. Alright. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Delta Flight 1472 service to Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome aboard this afternoon. Very happy to have you. It's going to be 1 hour and 32 minutes from wheels up to wheels down, cruising at 36,000 feet. We will have some weather kind of in the way as we're on our way up to Atlanta, so if sounds like we're going to have any bumps, we'll make sure to keep that seatbelt sign on. We do ask that if when the seatbelt sign's on, remain seated, and if it's not on while you're seated, please keep your seatbelt fastened in the event of any unexpected turbulence. Possibility for some weather on the approach into Atlanta as well, but we'll be talking with company and do everything we can to get into Atlanta, hopefully without any diversions. We ask that you give your undivided attention to the flight attendants. They're not just there for your comfort, but also for your safety. Sit back, relax, and I'm very happy to take you to Atlanta this afternoon. Flight attendants, prepare the cabin for departure. All right. Preview flight checklist. Interior and exterior inspections complete. Circuit breakers checked. Recorder is on. Passenger signs on and auto. Emergency lights are armed. Altimeters 3008 cross checked. Flight nav instruments are checked. ECAM status is checked. Radar is off. Parking brake is set. Radios and transponder set. Windows closed and locked. Oxygen mask. We'll get that checked. That's checked. Flight attendant briefing is complete. Departure brief is complete. Logbook QRHs are on board. Fuel required 24.0 on board 24.0. Pre-flight checklist is complete. Alright guys, we are ready to go. I don't know what Rue's getting into now. That's weird. It gave me such a light zero fuel weight. Alright, let's see, y'all. So got jet bridge hooked up. Alright, let's get that beacon light on. Everything pulled back. Pushback checklist. Doors. Closed. Flight deck door. Closed and locked. Transponder is in auto. Pushback checklist is complete. Man, y'all been saying a lot in the chat. I'm really starting to like Beyond ATC. If they added network play, it would be insane. I hate VATSIM, too many politics. Yeah, I guess I don't fly VATSIM enough to really know the politics side of it. I used to be all over Beyond ATC, and then I kind of moved over to, say, Intentions, since it had some more features. But I still have Beyond ATC. I should give it another run. I want to say that in April, on my way to Texas, I'll be on a 777. Damn. Probably be the only time in my life that I'll be on one, so hopefully I have good seats. Hell yeah, that'd be dope. The airline operation is wild. Like 10-ish different groups of people all doing something different within a 2-hour window to get a plane in and out on time. It's truly wild to be a part of. It really is, man. It takes so many people in so many facets to get, an airplane, to get a passenger on an airplane and get that airplane where it's supposed to go and that passenger where they're supposed to go. See, Robert said, hello, wrong side. I have missed the last couple of streams. That's okay. I haven't streamed a ton recently because I've been in ground school for Delta Dispatch. So the last stream was weeks ago anyways. So you haven't missed much. I'll be hearing that announcement in real life in less than 2 weeks. Hell yeah. When I get to see you in Atlanta. Yeah, from time to time there is, I think Delta will run the 350 just to position it in Atlanta from LA when they need to. So, who knows, maybe that day you'd get lucky and get thrown on a 350 instead of a 75. Outbound I'm on a 321neo, okay, instead of a 321neo, and return on a 76. Wish I was on a 350, but that's a couple of flights after. Oh man, that might have been worth it though. Shoot. Alright guys, let's get going. I haven't heard GSX say anything. Why is everything still hooked up? We're just going to do it the easy way. QS ground. Delta 1472 ready to taxi. Or, shit, ready to push. It's still going to give me taxi instructions, watch.
Delta 1472, Key West ground. Expect runway 9er taxi via Bravo 10 Alpha Alpha 1.
And correction, Delta 1472 ready for pushback and engine start from gate 1.
Delta 1472, pushback and engine start approved, tail south.
Tail south, push start approved, Delta 1471. Come on, man, don't make me use GSX. See if this will work. Alright, brakes released. There we go. It's crank number 1. Alright, brakes are set. Hey, Rudy Booty. What you doing, baby girl? This one. See if that works. There we go. Cool. Alright, good start on 1 and roll on 2. Seven, 6, 7 ain't bad. Yeah, that should be a fun one. And I think Callie's going to be on the wing on that one, staring at those giantly massive winglets. Hatchet, what's going on, my friend? Great to see you, dude. Welcome, welcome. GSX is getting to be like Microsoft Flight Sim. The more he fixes, the more it breaks. Yeah, I don't know. It's only happened once or twice, but like I'll tell it to board, and then for whatever reason, just something doesn't work. Like, so the whole process gets stopped. Alright, good start on number 2. After start flow, engine mode selector normal, armor spoilers, reset rotor trim. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't run takeoff numbers. So let's do that real quick. Drive, flap config, 3. Toga, yes. NAIS off. We'll do packs off as well. Well, that looks good. 3008, 26, perfect. Calculate. And send it. I'll move over. Yes, I did. Cool. Alright, flaps 3. And we're going to be trimming to 20. Dude, why did I have not set stuff for this airplane? So I thought I flew this airplane before. Nope. Be 27.2, be flaps up 0.9, so about there roughly. Let's check it on the flight control page. There we go. And we'll get transponder on over to TA. We'll leave the APU on so we turn the packs off. Alright, after start checklist, yellow electric pump is off. Engine NICE off. ECAM status is checked. After start checklist complete. Taxi checklist. Flaps 5. Or correction, wow. 3, 3. 3. Takeoff speeds 19, 19, 24. Thrust, no flex. Trim 27.0 or 27.2% CG set, and flight controls. I'm still used to the Spirit checklist for the Airbus. Full left, full right, neutral rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Flight controls checks complete. QS ground, Delta 1472, ready to taxi, runway 9.
Delta 1472, expect runway 9er, taxi via Bravo 9er, Alpha Alpha 1.
Bravo 9er, Alpha Alpha 1 to runway 9er, Delta 1472. Alrighty, brakes check, pressure 0. Clear on the right and left.
Approaching runway 27.
We're going to be departing off runway 9 on the Buffett 1. L11 off the ground to a first fix of Moody up to 4,000 feet. Gross weight is 142.2. The max takeoff weight of 146. Fuel on board is 23.9. V1's 119, V2 is 124. Flight controls are all checked. Status page looks good. TO config and TARA weather and predicted wind shears on. Alright, before takeoff, runway position, runway 9er full length is confirmed inside and outside. Flaps 3-3 sets. Takeoff memo. I don't know how they like it. All green? Hell yeah. I hate it when they say no blue. Takeoff memo, all green. Brake temps checked. Nav briefs complete. TCAS, TRA. Engine mode is normal. And flight attendants notified and acknowledged. Dope, dope, dope. Dope, 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 dope. Yep, that wing takes like 7 rows, it seems. That sounds about right. I'm gonna smack in the middle of the wing, won't see anything, won't see any ground, yeah. Pretty much. But the most stable place that you can be on in an airplane for the best rides is on the wing. So at least there's that. When I was selecting my seat, I felt like there was no escaping it. Yeah. I'd rather be at the back, the screaming child, the good window view, staring at the wing the whole flight. I can't stand the back just because that's where you feel everything, every rotor movement, every like little wiggle of the airplane. At least one good thing is my wing seat is that it's also an exit row, some more leg room. Hell yeah. think my sim's been running rougher lately. And see, like even just with this like little slow taxi by, it's like a little stutter every couple seconds.
Contact tower on 11812.
Over to tower, Delta 1472. QS Tower, Delta 1472, holding short, runway 9, ready for takeoff.
Delta 1472, Key West Tower, runway 9er, winds 100 at 14, gusting 22. RNAV, Moody, cleared for takeoff.
RNAV Moody, clear for takeoff, runway 9, Delta 1472. Alright, we get lined up, we'll get those packs.
Approaching runway 9.
Alrighty.
Runway 9 remaining.
Pack 1 and 2 are off.
1,700 feet.
Spoil them 50. Manitoga SRS, auto thrust blue. V1 and rotate. Pause right. You're up. Nav. Over to departure, Delta 1472. Departure, Delta 1472, climb in 1,500, 4,000 on the Buffett departure. Acceleration climb. Pack 1.
1472, Navy Key West departure, radar contact, climb and maintain 16,000, turn left heading 360, then direct Moody when able.
Flaps 2. Alright, climb flight level 16,000, then left turn to direct Moody for Delta 1472. Flaps 1. 160 blue. Flap 0. And pack 2.
Delta 1472, climb and maintain flight level 200.
Climb and maintain flight level 200, Delta 1472. 200 blue. What the hell is that sound? It is bumpy. What are we doing? Why did my autopilot come on? Alright, autopilot is on. Climb maintain flight level 270 Delta 1472. I don't know why I'm working radios. I'm pilot flying. Alright, 10,000.
1472, climb and maintain flight level 270.
Alright, let's hit that top hat for the first time. Fix info. KATL 27 left. Five miles, rad navs, nothing to change. Prog page, KATL 27 left. Is this weather still what Atlanta's got? Weather 180 at 9. And it's gusting 18. So VAP plus 9. Let's see, it's gonna be 141. Okay. The temperature's 27. 3008. Fuel prediction. Jesus Christ, we got 2 hours and 10 minutes of fuel. Plus an alternate. That's crazy. Secondary flight plan. Delete secondary. Copy active. Atlanta. Arrival. We're going to put in 28. In case we get assigned that one. Approach via. No via. And then, last but not least, after Atlanta, let's see, put in
1472, climb and maintain flight level 320.
32 set. Why am I not hearing the pilot talk?
Climb and maintain flight
Oh, okay, there it goes.
Delta 1472.
Alright, so it would be off of 27 left. I don't know if there is.
Delta 1472, contact Miami Center on 132.2.
No SID. And Charleston, arrival, ILS 15.
Center on 132.2, Delta 1472.
Approach via, we'll go Luther. And no star.
72. Good afternoon. Climbing through 16,000
Cool.
for flight level.
So we got our alternate routing in there just in case we have to go to Charleston. Get rid of that. And
1472 Miami Center. Climb and maintain flight
And
level
that.
320. Climb and maintain flight level 320. Delta 1472.
Alright, transition. Standard. Alright, so the other thing I want to look at too is fuel prediction says we're going to land with 16.1.
Climb and maintain flight level 360.
360 set.
Climb and maintain flight level 360, Delta 1472.
Let's see. Trying to figure out what my actual landing weight's going to be. So we're landing at 134.5. I think max structural is 137, so we're good on the landing weight. Definitely something we need to look at. Although sometimes I will get a seat in the back on the CRJ just to enjoy the engines. Ah, there you go. I do like the sound of CRJ engines. So Hatchet, my friend, how's it going, dude? Great to see you. Nate, what's up, man? Man, FS Realistic Plus head shape looks so real. Yeah, dude, I agree. I like it. I had to tone down the sensitivity when like taxiing and turning, because it would just like turn too much. I wanted it just enough to where like it kind of looks out the right window and I can see the taxiway while I'm turning. And I think once I kind of get all dialed in, it's gonna be juice. Blake, when you plan on moving to Atlanta, have you been looking at places? If you need a moving supervisor, let me know. I'll come down. Not totally sure. It's definitely gonna be a little while. Hopefully by the end of this year, if not beginning of next year. But we'll see. I'm kind of ready to get moved up there. This whole commuting thing is for the birds. Granted, I've been in training now for 5 weeks, and I have driven from Atlanta to Orlando and back every single week. So, for example, yesterday we got out of class at about 4 o'clock. I didn't get home until about midnight. And I'll be home today and then back in my car northbound by noon tomorrow. So literally only home for like a day and a half. I could do the jump seating thing, but the jump seat is always full. We're always taken in and out of Orlando. Flights are hella full. This week I'm very glad that I did not do any kind of jump seat, and I was actually supposed to go to Monroe and go visit my family, but with all this weather that's moving through, I decided to push that trip back a week. Why is it so turbulent? I didn't see much of anything turbulence-wise. But yeah, with all the weather, I decided not to go to Monroe. So I'm glad that I drove, because yesterday Atlanta got hit with a couple cells that had hail. So every airplane that was on the ground in Atlanta during those 2 cells had to be inspected for hail damage. So Atlanta's been a mess ever since yesterday afternoon. And everybody gets smoked again today. I want to check Foreflight, I guess. No, y'all can't. Y'all can't see what I'm seeing. I'm just showing the sim. I don't see there's like any pyreps or like what's going on in Florida. Alright, so Foreflight does show turbulence. Oh, I hate that. I gotta turn that off. At least the music. I don't mind looking around as much. It's like as we climb, it should smooth out, maybe. This is stuck at 15,000. Alright, so around cruise it should smooth out some. Based off of this. Alright, what is that called? Like screensaver or something? Yeah. Sound. Turn that off. Alright, we are painting some stuff on the weather radar, as we should, but obviously the tops are never high enough to actually see it in the sim. I don't think it can really render scenery that far out anyways. But hopefully this stuff smooths out. I'm sure passengers are not liking the bumpiness. When is training over? Asks Wes. Let's see. So today finishes, or yesterday finishes week 5. I have a test Monday morning for week 5's performance. The next week will be all of aircraft systems, and that'll cover week 6. Then week 7, I can't remember. This will be like abnormals, emergencies, a bunch of stuff like that. Week 8 is kind of like a whole review week. We'll take our second phase check. So at the end of week 8, I'll be done with ground school. And then I'll have about another 6 weeks of training, doing like on-the-job training, on the desk, with a dispatcher, dispatching under their certificate. And I'll sit with lots and lots of different dispatchers. And that'll be about 6 weeks. After that, I'll have a 3-day comp check. So 1 day with a 4-hour oral, and then 2 separate days of 2 separate line check airmen observing me dispatch. And then if all that goes good, then I'll get signed off. So we're looking at about 9 to 10 weeks from now until training's done. And then I'll be signed off and dispatching. Look at that, guys. 33,000 feet, and it's now kind of smooth. But I was kind of following along with what Foreflight was showing. That's dope. Hatchet said, Sheesh, more power to my dude, the amount of driving. Oh, to you. Oh, my dude. I see. Yeah, and that is one thing, to Josh's point. Gonna need new tires for the Tesla. Shouldn't need new tires, I don't think. But having the Tesla and having autopilot makes it much better. It's literally a straight shot from Atlanta to my house. Like I-75 all the way down to Turnpike North, and then bam, I'm home. Takes about 7 hours with charging, 6 hours without charging. I mean, and I could do it faster. I don't like to get to my next charger at 10%. I'd rather get there at like 20%, maybe 15. So I'll charge a little bit longer than I really need to. But it's kind of nice because it breaks the trip up. It's like, you know, I'll go to the first charger and it's like, you know, 2.5 hours, and then charge. Usually charging a little bit before I need to, and then the next one, you know, about 3 hours later, and then I'm home. So like it breaks up the trip and gives me opportunity to stretch my legs and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty nice. Like I really don't mind it. It's for me personally, driving 6-7 hours from Atlanta in my Tesla with autopilot is way easier and way more enjoyable than a 3.5 hour drive from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando. The vibes are like way more chill. People are driving a lot less crazy. You can really just turn on the autopilot, cruise in the middle lane at 75 miles an hour, and just like relax. So I really don't mind it. And I'm in control of my schedule versus jump seating. Fucking Siri put soon in there twice. Ain't no problem. Reset Jet, what's going on, dude? Widget weather telling lies again, huh? I haven't looked at widget weather. That's something I wish I could show, but obviously can't since it's proprietary. But yeah, I did think about looking at that on the side, like without showing it, to kind of see what it was saying. But for the demonstration of dispatching the flight, we just used what did we use? There were no FPGs, flight planning guidance areas, for our route of flight. All the FPGs were behind the line of weather. Did we use anything to look for turbulence? I don't think we did. I don't think we really assessed it too much. But I see somebody that knows a little bit of what widget weather is. Now, let me ask you this. Are you using widget weather or widget weather plus? If you ain't running FS Realistic Plus, you're missing out. It's insane. This is probably my first full flight with it, to be honest. So far, it seems smooth at cruise, so seatbelt signs off. If we have to fly over any what will look like to be convective weather, then we'll turn it back on, because there'll be a lot of lifting action above the tops of the thunderstorms. But you know, Microsoft Flight Sim probably ain't gonna show anything that looks like a thunderstorm, unfortunately. I had that view on my first leg to Florida when it came down. Oh, there you go. It's a good view. My man, Andrew, what's up, dude? Now we got a real, live, breathing Southwest Airlines flight dispatcher in the chat. My man, Andrew's awesome, dude. What's going on, man? Is Delta going to get flight keys? Yep. Yeah, that is happening. Should be, I believe, in January when we make that transition. Like, is it true that for a smoother flight, you'd want to fly as early in the day as possible? It definitely helps, especially in the summertime. The warmer it gets, the more thermal action you have. A lot of heat rising from the ground if you're flying over land. And you'll basically, the airplane's going to be getting kicked around from all that rising action. Well, hey, Rue. How you doing? The dog just walked in. And then also the same holds true, especially if you're flying out west. When you couple the heat with mountainous terrain and especially windy conditions as well. It typically won't be as windy early in the morning. Obviously, it won't be as hot early in the morning. So yeah, it's a little bit better to fly earlier in the day. Plus, the other side of that too is there's a lot less going on in the NAS as far as ATC is concerned. Less traffic volume, so everything is just easier when you fly earlier in the morning or like red eyes. That's not a bad route wise. But yeah, it does get a little bit old over time. Like, I was not excited about the drive this time, especially when I wasn't planning on doing the drive in the first place and I was supposed to go to Monroe. But Crystal told me, she's like, you know, if you don't want to come home, Like, if you'd rather just stay there, like, totally get it. It's a lot driving back and forth every week. And I was like, well, the other 3 guys in my crash pad, they all went home. Like, I got nothing really to do, so I might as well come home, hang out with my dog, and hopefully get to stream. Here we are. Now, next week, if my trip to Monroe doesn't work out, I'm going to drive down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and enjoy a day down there, eating lots of great food and enjoying the beach. If this whole looking around thing gets old for y'all let me know. Kind of stick it over here for now. Go with that. Tyler, what's up, man? I broke my motherboard and new CPU. Dude, that's no good. How'd you do that? But if autopilot was available on the new... Dude, I would not have left my truck if my truck had autopilot. I never would have got a Tesla. 100%. That was the main reason I wanted the Tesla. Was electricity is a hell of a lot cheaper, and autopilot. They always add extra charge on the road trip. That arrive with 10% would be too... Yeah, and it's way too variable. I don't know if it's accounting for any, like, up and down actions. Like, obviously, the car's got to work harder to get uphill, and that's going to affect your charge more. And then obviously, the faster you drive, like, what speed is it accounting for? Because I'm going to go faster than whatever speed limits are, right? So I'm not going to be relying on 10%. I'm going to need a buffer. The aircraft spent most of its time flying Atlanta-Miami, and the tape was lightning damage that had to be checked. Interesting. Did you remove all of your videos? I put them all on private. They're still there. I still have them. I'm probably going to turn some of the like flight planning type ones back on. But just while I'm like in ground school and probation and stuff, you know, with some of the cussing that I would do, I just figured for the time being it was probably best to put that on private. Did you say you get more time off when you get to OJT? Yeah, it'll be a little bit more, not as much as I thought it was going to be. The chief instructor came in and talked to us a couple days ago, and we all kind of thought we'd be paired up with one trainer each week, and so we would be with that person for 4 days, then off for 4 days, and with another person for the next 4, then off for another 4, and so on and so forth. But it turns out it's going to be a little bit ad hoc. Like, we'll get scheduled to dispatch like 3 to 4 days, and then we'll be off like 2, maybe 3 days, then dispatch 3 to 4, off for 2. Like, it's going to be a little bit sporadic. And then once I'm signed off, it'll be either 5 on 4 off or 4 on 4 off, depending on whether I get relief or if I get an overnight line. I'm hoping I get an overnight line. But I'm number 15 out of 20 in my class. So I got 14 people ahead of me that could take some of those overnight lines.
Delta 1472.
But dude, that's crazy about the 7.6, man. With all that tape. Trying to cover up some lightning damage.
Delta 1472, Miami Center, good afternoon. Continue flight level 360.
36. Do you have an overhead panel? I don't. That would be something I would love to get, but until I get signed off and start getting overtime money is very, 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 very tight. Very tight. Kind of breaking even, like, with all bills and stuff. So one day. But honestly, once I get signed off, when we get moved into a house, my ultimate goal is to work a ton of overtime and get a Scholarkey A320 full cockpit. That's what I'm really aiming at. 989 Juliet Tango. Any plans to become an airline pilot? Nah, no plans. I'm pretty happy with being a flight dispatcher. It's the perfect balance, the perfect medium between being a pilot and not being a pilot. So you get to be part of the whole technical aviation process, having operational control with the captain and speaking a lingo and doing all the things, getting to ride in the cockpit and, you know, all that good stuff, right? But my head is the same pillow every night. I'm not living out of a suitcase. I'm not constantly on the go. All that kind of stuff, right? So I've been very happy throughout my career as a dispatcher. Never really, like, if I could skip like 172s and just go straight into flight training on an Airbus or something, maybe that'd be different, I guess. But I'm just not willing to spend the money and go through all the time that it takes to become an airline pilot at this point in my life. Not that I couldn't do it, but I'm not, like, to me, school is prison, and I'm not trying to go back to prison. But how about you? Why are you breaking things? Sounds expensive. Yeah, Tyler, why are you breaking things? Your drive sounds more peaceful than my drive from Fort Worth to Dallas. It probably is. Man, Dallas traffic is like certified NASCAR drivers on the interstate. Like, Dallas is something else. Dallas is worse than South Florida, in my opinion. I mean, like, if you are in the fast lane in interstate and the speed is 60 or 70, you're going for sure 80 or 90 with a car up your ass, and they're pushing you into the car in front of you, and then you got a car on your right, and you're basically blocked in. I mean, it's like the closest thing to NASCAR that I could think of. I agree on the earlier in the day. That's one of the reasons why I chose the 6 a.m. flight to Atlanta. No delays, and hopefully smoother flight. Hopefully. The only thing that sucks with that one is all the time changes, right? And you're going to be kind of getting into Atlanta. Oh, wow, we're sticking our head out the airplane. Later in the day because of that time change. It'll probably...
Hey, Captain.
God, that's loud.
Would you like a drink or a snack? By the way, I hope the coffee is better than the last time. I think it might have been brewed by a sleep-deprived barista.
Hey, Taylor, no thanks. We're all good up here. Your joke was stupid.
Copy, Captain. Thank you for the update.
You seem a little tired though, man. 7 hours twice a week, even with full self-driving, would still be hard to handle. I'll tell you what, man. The last hour or two is definitely a struggle, and I don't get as much sleep as I did when I was working in Spirit. I think because I'm on like a normal shift, right? Like I start class at 8, we're done at 4. I can't make myself go to bed in time to get 8 hours of sleep. Plus, we are pretty much like we get done at 4. We're back at the house at 4:30. We eat dinner, and then we're studying until like 10 o'clock at night. So I just cannot like really get enough sleep, and then I'll come home and probably get, you know, a good sleep Friday and Saturday, and then that's about it. Back to the crap. Bought the i9, replaced my 12700K, and yeah, I got bent pins on the motherboard and CPU because me and my roommate had reset it because we had some light, but now I have to buy a bundle. Ooh, yeah, that sucks, dude. That's definitely doesn't sound cheap. Did you watch any of the WBC yesterday? I'm so hyped for this year. Going to Houston on Friday for the quarterfinals. Nope. I have not. I haven't even watched. I didn't even watch LSU baseball yesterday. In fact, LSU's playing right now. But I'd rather hang out with y'all. And every time I watch the game, it seems like we lose. We lost to McNeese. We lost to ULL. And I watched both of those games, so we lost. But then yesterday we played Sacramento, and we beat them like 15-2. And I didn't watch that game, so I'm not going to watch this one either, so that maybe we'll win. But yeah, I haven't watched much of anything. I've been so busy with ground school. And then obviously the drive-in last night. I can drive from here to Dallas in 10 hours, but I'd still fly it. American has a couple of directs. Oh yeah, for sure. Why drive 10 hours when you can fly it? Like Monroe would be a 9-hour drive versus a hour flight. Definitely going to do the hour flight instead. So Josh, I was talking about seniority. Yeah. Like what Andrew was saying. So in my class, we got 20 people in my class. Seniority for my class specifically is based off of age. So the younger you are, the less senior you are, because we all have the same hire date, right? We all started the same day, so we all have the same hire date. So they have to figure out a way to determine seniority amongst our class. And I guess I'm the 5th youngest, or 6th youngest technically in the class from the bottom, so I'm number 15 in my class. Uh-oh. Let's see, where is... I'm guessing it's Kyle, or Kai1E, but I'm assuming that spells Kyle. But my friend, thank you so much for the subscription. Hope you're enjoying the content, and welcome to the Wrong Side community, my friend. Very happy to have you with. But yeah, so Josh, since there's 14 people ahead of me, there's going to be, because there's 20 of us, there's 20 lines for us to bid on for our schedule. And so, like, for example, my good friend Jim, he's the oldest in the class, so he'll have the first pick. And then the second person in sortie will have, the second pick. And you just kind of work your way down. So I'm at the mercy of what the 14 people in front of me choose. And really, it's either relief or overnights, as it typically is, right? But I'm hoping that a lot of these folks are like such not overnight people that they won't bid on the overnight, and then I can get an overnight shift because I love the overnights, and get like a full line where my schedule's not bouncing around all the time, like relief folks would be doing. Would you prefer an A320 home cockpit or a 7.3? It's tough. I think I would prefer an Airbus, because that's just like, that's my airplane of choice. I mean, unless I had a 7.5. 7.5 is the only place where I'll deviate. But I think Airbus, I want full cockpit, both sides, so I can have like friends come over and fly and stuff. Ideally, I want like a basement, and then one side of the basement, we got a 320, a Boeing rig, and then a rotary rig. After paying off the Airbus rig, then I would get a 7.3. Full 7.3 cockpit. And then the other side of the basement would be like a aviation cigar bar vibe type space. It's like folks can come and hang out and fly some airplanes and chill and nerd out and stuff. So that's kind of the dream. But so I guess really to fully answer the question, both. But the first one that I'll get would be 320. Trust you to hop right into an A320 and safely land and take off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could. The only thing that makes me second guess it is just the fact that even when you fly something like a Sklarky, right? Like there's no forces on your body, and those forces definitely change things. The times that I've flown level D sims, like it does kind of mess with you. To some degree. It's just something you're not used to. So that's the only thing that I feel like would mess with me, would be the forces. But aside from that, as far as just the knowledge and how to do it, 100%. Damn, really? You got a mall comment? 180. You can practice with 1999 with only 500 hours. Damn, dude. That's it? That's like nothing. That's dope, though. Flight school is actually pretty fun if you do it right, at least for me. To be fair, I rent a plane and fly with friends that are CFIs. Yeah, that's definitely a way to do it. Like, what would be cooler than jumping in a plane with a few of your buddies and, like, heading up to Sedona or Bryce Canyon, or, like, fly somewhere cool, go spend a day or a weekend, and then fly back. Like, that's definitely a cool ass way to do it. Pristine hangar kept, man. Apparently, sounds like it. With that little time, shoot, good for you. I arrived around 12:30, so shouldn't be that. Yeah, no. At least from my experience, the thunderstorms on the eastern half of the United States really start to flare up, and we're kind of talking more like, peak summer. They really start to flare up around like between 1 and 2 o'clock. So yeah, you'll be getting in at a good time.
1472, contact Jacksonville Center on 134.0.
Like, I'm working my first mid over daylight savings time change tomorrow. I've worked every time the clocks roll back, unfortunately, but now I get to experience the roll forward. Oh, there you go. Hopefully it doesn't mess with you too much, which sucks because we're all losing an hour, and with the little bit of time that I have at home, like, it sucks to lose any time. We haven't, like, passed anything that's even
1472, Jacksonville Center, good afternoon, maintain flight level 360.
looked anything like a thunderstorm. Got a company message, though. What we got?
Maintaining flight level 360, Delta 1472.
5-minute delay. Kiss my ass. All right, 80 miles from the halfway point. Man, you know what? Let's see. Let's see if we can see it. I don't remember how to do this thing. How do I start this thing? Maybe we gotta be closer? Dang, I was gonna make it launch a rocket. Well, set a random date appropriate for the chosen area. Is it changing my time? There it goes. Alright, let's see if we see it. We might be too far away. Where are we at? Yeah, it's just behind us. Ten seconds. Oh wait, no, it's launched. But I think we're too far to see it. You would see it in real life, that's for sure. Yeah, it's 40 seconds up, so it'd be like somewhere up here. Well, that sucks. Let's see. Why by age? I'm pretty far up on that list. I don't know, man. Like Jim is about to turn 64. So. Y'all get differential pay on overnight? Yep, sure do. Can't remember how much it is. It's in the contract. I haven't looked that hard. I've been focused on the ground school stuff and trying to just get to the point where I'm even signed off in the first place where any of that stuff applies to me. But yeah, there's a few different differential pay overrides. Our shift differential pay at Southwest for mids is pathetic, but they just negotiated it into our last contract, so hopefully on our new one can negotiate it higher. Good luck, man. Because now we can all play that game, right? Where, like, if we get something higher, then that helps y'all get something higher, and we just go back and forth. Name of the cigar bar: Cockpits and Cohibas. I like that. That's pretty dope. Your basement will be looking like T-Pain Sim Room. Hell yeah. That'll be badass. Have you seen T-Pain stream? No, I have not. I have not. Let me Google that real quick. Wonder what the hell he's even streaming. Oh, dude. Dude, that's wild, man. That room is dope. Yep, it'll be something like that. Hopefully bigger. That's wild. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, chemtrails. Great to see you, dude. It feels great to be streaming. Appreciate you stopping by. I think it's like the second stream that I've done in 5 weeks, 5-6 weeks. And man, like, it's tough because some days, like, we really get into the nitty-gritty airplane stuff in training, and then, like, it's not being able to touch my sim just, like, it nags at me. It drives me nuts. Yeah, nuts. See? There you go. Only 54. Go get your dispatch license. Be a dispatcher. We'll probably be gone in 10 years anyways. I'm sure AI will get us. Alright, so we're about halfway there. I reckon we should probably take a look-see. And, we'll kind of say this is like, I guess, talking to our dispatcher and asking how the weather's looking in Atlanta, all that good stuff. We'll pull up Foreflight. We'll pull up. I should have left everything open.
Delta 1472, expect the Jedi for arrival. Laurie's transition. Prepare to descend in roughly 20 minutes. Say the word if you want to descend sooner.
Oof.
Expect the Jedi for arrival. Large
All right, let's see. Let's see what
0 minutes. Delta 14.
Atlanta's looking like. All right, so we're about over here roughly, and here is Atlanta. So less than great, but not the worst I've ever seen. Obviously, we got this same cell that's still kicking from when we planned the flight. Top's 46,000 feet, relatively isolated. But if this thing kicks off any gust fronts, that could feed more of these cells to really blow up. If y'all don't know what a gust front is, a gust front is basically, you know, when you're, say you're outside and you kind of hear thunderstorms around you in the vicinity, and all of a sudden you feel this strong wind and the temperature cools off real quick, and you're like, oh, yep, it's about to storm. That's a gust front. So what's happening is the sail is reaching its mature stage. All the ice crystals and the super cool liquid droplets in that cloud are too heavy for the rising action to further support their weight, so they start to fall. As they fall, they enter warmer temperatures, turns into water, and as it's falling, it's dragging a lot of that cool air that's in the cloud down with it. Often, the rain will evaporate before it hits the ground. That's when you see virga. But that cold air is still coming down, despite those water droplets dissipating. And so as that cool air hits the ground, it spreads out. And that's what you're feeling. And so that's called a gust front. And as that cool air spreads out, it can actually feed and kick off other thunderstorms or other cells that are building near it. And gust fronts are actually pretty cool. You can see it on satellite. You'll kind of see like a little bit of a, not a bow echo, but you'll see the clouds bow where it's like clear in between the cell that kicked off the gust front. And it's clear between that all the way up to other like clouds, and then you'll start seeing where the other clouds are at start to blow up into thunderstorms. So anyways, I don't know if we can see any of that here. So Atlanta's right here. It's kind of hard to see, but we'll just kind of chain through. Let's turn precip off and see if we can see any kind of gust fronts. Nope. No gust fronts. Just air mass, little thunderstorms. We got the cold fronts back here. We got the squall line that's up ahead of the cold front there. And then these are all just kind of building ahead. More than likely air mass thunderstorms due to the heat and instability in the atmosphere. And we'll turn the satellite off. So, isolated scattered vicinity thunderstorms. It's kind of forming a little bit of a line, but not a super huge issue for us. Now, what could turn into a problem, we're going to come in from the east, land on west flow, unless the winds shift. The wind shouldn't shift until after this weather passes over, or the cold front passes over. But in the event that this kind of turns into a more solid line and we end up going missed and somehow end up behind this line, we could potentially be cut off. Hang on. Damn dog. We could be cut off from our alternate, which is Charleston over on the coast. So something to keep in mind before we get on this side of the weather, that our alternate's over here. So if we end up over here, ideally, if we didn't have a way to get back on the east side of the weather, we would need an alternate that's on the west side of the weather, which also is not ideal because you got a squall line bearing down. But so that's kind of what we're looking at right now for the live weather. Here's flight radar. Looks like guys are still getting in without much of a problem. God, it would suck to fly all the way from Seoul and then divert. Now the thing to kind of start looking for as a dispatcher, we start looking at the arrivals coming in from the northwest and southwest. That's where the weather is kind of going to be impacting the arrival gates most as of right now. Obviously, you might get some impacts too on the northeast side. If you start seeing some weird stuff happening, then you'll know things are popping off. So far, everything looks pretty normal. I don't really see no holding or anything. And man, my iPad's about to die. I'm gonna turn off the casting. That's what's killing it. See, let's look at Atlanta's METAR. Winds 200 to 10 statute miles, scattered at 5,000 with towering cumulus clouds. Scattered at 9,000, scattered at 20,000, broken 25. Temperature 28, dew point 16, altimeter 30, 07. Got some wind shift action going on, some occasional lightning, cloud to ground, in cloud, and cloud to cloud. Distant to the northeast, CB's distant to the northeast. West, northwest, moving northeast, towering cumulus east and west. So it's gonna get a little busy. Let's see. Yeah, in this area that we're in, the weather's pretty chill. I know y'all still can't see the weather stuff. There shouldn't be much of a problem through our ETA. Weather doesn't touch the field until midnight 05. And we're there at 22:35. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Alright, back to you guys. Only 9 more weeks until you can touch your sim all you want. Yeah, for the most part, except for the days that I'm working, because I'll be in Atlanta. But yeah, 9 weeks, and then things will kind of stabilize a bit more. Definitely looking forward to it. Phrasing. That's funny. Oh, what time do you usually get going on Sundays? I suppose early enough that you can get to bed at a halfway decent time. Yeah, I usually leave between somewhere between noon and 2, and that'll put me there anywhere between 8 and 10. Usually it's on the later side. Yeah, chemtrails it did. I think they actually may have had 2 hail events. We had one around 2:30 in the afternoon. We were in class, and our class is right on the outside of the OCC building, or it's on the edge of it. So we have windows and stuff, and it didn't sound like very big hail at all. To me, it sounded quite small. Hail nonetheless. Lasted all of maybe a good 60 seconds, and I think they got some more weather after I left Orlando with some more hail, from what I heard. But yeah, they were having to conduct hail inspections on all the aircraft that were on the ground during that period. I think there was a company issued ground stop for Atlanta, and I was listening to live ATC at 11:30 at night. And again, all this happened. If the second one didn't happen, if only the first one that I was there for was the only one that happened, that was at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And by 11:30, Atlanta was still a massive mess. They were having to stack airplanes up on taxiways while they're trying to get airplanes out of the alleys, and most planes didn't have gates, and it was a mess. It was a mess enough that it was entertaining to sit there and listen to on my drive. Yesterday's storm was around 2. Yeah, it's somewhere around there. But, I mean, it really didn't seem like much, but obviously, you got to check the airplanes, regardless of how big the hailstones were. But guys, I hate to do this. Crystal wants to go take the dog to this rec center to like go take her for a walk and stuff in the new place that she found. It's really nice. They were gonna go get dinner after that, so unfortunately the flight planning side of this took too long and not able to finish the flight. But as you all know, Microsoft Flight Sim's not going to render the weather in real time like it should anyways. It'll probably show us something that's an hour old and won't be much of a factor for us. So it'll be a non-event when it comes to landing. So I hate to do it, guys, especially whenever I get such few chances to stream. But I'm gonna have to cut the flight off because we're gonna run out of daylight. And if only the time change was last night, we'd have more time. But anyways, nonetheless, guys, I do appreciate y'all coming to hang out. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and very excited that I got to plan a flight for y'all and just kind of show y'all a little bit of the nitty gritty that we go through to plan flights. There's even more to it because there's certain tools and things that I either don't have or can't show that we would do in planning flights. But glad you got to see it nonetheless, and thank you again for showing up. Miss y'all. Miss getting to do this. This is very, very enjoyable for me, and a good stress relief and a reminder why I love aviation, because this is my favorite part of it. But hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and until next time, as always, be good or be good at it. Keep it on the wrong side, and I will see y'all on the next one, whenever that's going to be. Probably in a couple weeks at the earliest. So I'll see y'all later. Have a great weekend. Peace.